It's your duty to raise this. It's your duty to bring this matter to the public, because the Ummah's money is being spent, and it is our right to ask for evidence that those claims that he mentioned at the start, 25, and he said it to me personally, by the way.
You know, if I was going to ask for 50 to clear my debt, that means I'm not prepared to work. But I know I can...
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. In this video, we're going to be looking at Muslims being quite openly scammed, in my opinion. And I don't say that lightly. I've thought about this quite a lot, and I've tried to give the benefit of the doubt, but I don't actually think I can give the benefit of the doubt. I don't think there's a way you can rationalize this that doesn't lead to this particular individual just taking advantage of Muslims, in all honesty, and getting them to separate from their hard-earned money to help him personally. It's not even for a good cause anymore, it's just for him. Because why not? I am, of course, talking about Hamza from Hamza's Den, otherwise known as Darren. And this came to my attention actually not because of anyone pointing this out to me, but rather seeing other videos online that people have made in response to Hamza, who are from other Muslims, in some instances other Muslim da'is, who do the same dawah work that Hamza does, who are calling him out and saying that at this point you are just taking advantage of people. So I'm going to show you exactly what it is Hamza's doing, break down supposedly why he's doing it, and then get into the detail about exactly why I think this is just a scam. Let's take a look. So it starts off with GoFundMe page. Hamza has set up a GoFundMe page for himself. Yes, he's set up a GoFundMe page just for himself. He's not actually doing this particular event, this particular fundraiser for any good cause. The cause is himself. I guess in some way, at least, I admire how obvious he's being about it. Like, yes, at least he's telling them he's doing it. This isn't for a good cause. It is just for me. So please spend generously. But anyway, let's go back to this GoFundMe page. Right, so the whole idea is that Hamza has, in this GoFundMe page, he is talking about how he has managed to get himself into 50 grand worth of debt. And he says here, Assalamu alaikum all, I hope you are well. I have created this fundraiser to help me climb out of the debt hole I find myself in. This debt has become a huge wall in front of me, taking my attention away from what I aim to achieve for my channel. My total debt is 50 grand. Now pay attention to what he says next, because this is kind of the key to unpacking why this is a scam, or at least one of the parts to understanding why it's a scam. I believe raising half of this in this fundraiser will facilitate and enable me to achieve my dream of working my way out and freeing myself from this debt, which in turn will enable me to achieve what I want to do in the future. Okay, so here's the thing. When Hamza made this GoFundMe a few weeks ago, I believe, he was asking for half the amount. He wanted 25,000, that was his target, even though he had got himself into 50,000 pounds worth of debt. His way of explaining this was that, well, if he asked for half the money, he can handle the remaining half on his own. He just needs that initial 25 grand to kickstart him into helping pay off the remaining amount. Okay, that seems fair. Now, people online were skeptical of this from the very beginning. We could take a look at Hamza's Twitter page to see exactly what Muslims were thinking about this. This is back when he was just asking for 25,000. Let's take a look. Okay, so here is his Twitter page with a particular post he made on February 12th of this year. I could use your help with a fundraiser on GoFundMe. Please share, support, or donate. Every small action counts. So, first of all, someone says people's accounts have been hacked quite recently and the English grammar used on the GoFundMe page is concerning. Coming from someone so well read and eloquent, hope this isn't some scam. Yes, I also hope this isn't some scam, but I'm doubtful. I'm very doubtful. Let's keep reading. I think as a preacher and Muslim, you need to be more transparent if you're asking for people's money. 1. Why and how did you get into that much debt? 2. Why you're unable to pay it off yourself? Now, Hamza does have answers to those questions. They're not particularly satisfying answers, and they would lead me, personally, if I was a Muslim who was considering supporting Hamza, I would think twice after hearing how he gets into this debt, mostly because you think, oh, well, this might just be something bad that's happened to him, it's unfortunate circumstances. No. Hamza himself actually explains on a video on his own channel that addresses the criticism he's been facing, because pretty much every time he posts or does anything now, it's got someone somewhere telling him, hey, you're scamming people during Ramadan for your own private issues. But he explains anyway, this debt has actually been around for a long time. He goes back somewhere between 10 and 15 years has been having issues with his business, presumably it's the hijab business he runs, where he's been, in his words, robbing Peter to pay Paul. So he's been getting into financial loose ends. He's been borrowing money from one source to pay off debts in another source, which obviously doesn't solve the problem. Not sure why he thinks that's an acceptable answer, because it basically just means that he's not properly paying his debts. And again, if that was a recent thing, then maybe just a poor decision. But since this has been going on for so long, according to Hamza, like a decade, he's just been repeatedly making poor financial decisions for a decade and basically wants Muslims to pay the tab. That to me is low. That to me is really low. That to me tells me he never had any intention of solving this. He just knew that at some point he would have a handout in life and he would take it. And it just happens to be, well, now he's got a YouTube channel and he can ask lots of Muslims for donations and they'll just pay it off for him. And you might say, hey, well, this is just one time, right? It's just one time. Once he's done this, that'll be the end of it and it won't happen again. Well, first of all, it's not this one time. He actually has done this, and by that I mean asked for money, although he's never been so blatant as to say this is just for me. Well, kind of. But he's asked for money many times before and he's raised money many times before. I don't understand why he didn't mention that he was in debt first before that, so that people who were helping him before could have just helped him then, and he could have been transparent with them, said, hey guys, I need money for X, Y, and Z, for editor costs, which is okay, for running a channel, for travel, whatever it might be. But before I ask for that, I have this even bigger debt that I've had for a decade now at least. Please help me pay that off first. That would have been the perfect opportunity to do that. But he didn't. And that to me is incredibly suspicious. And either it means that he's knowingly doing this, or he's just incredibly poor with money. Like, the guy doesn't know how to manage money properly. He owns a business, as far as I can tell, but he can't run the business properly. And anyone who's helping support him in that business, I would start demanding receipts. Like, what are you doing with this money? Why are you robbing Peter to pay Paul? Why have you been silent about that? Why are you constantly in debt? Why don't you just own up to this and stop asking people for money for other things, which are, I'm going to be honest with you, completely not necessary. The idea, and actually, let me show you this. Let me show you this first. Okay, here's a GoFundMe page. He seems to use GoFundMe quite a lot. This was like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, something like that. And he had this video and he was basically saying, look, I want so much money so that I can do the following. Now, this is interesting. Yeah, this must be quite a while ago, back when he had 60,000 subs. It's time to level up. To do so, I need to raise the money to cover the cost of editors, transcribers, translators, and of course, equipment for the next 3 months. For that, he managed to get £7,460. This might have been fine if he wasn't in debt and wasn't hiding that, and two, he wouldn't then just repeatedly go and ask for more money at later points. Because I'm just being honest with you, me and Hamza roughly do the same thing. Hamza's been doing it for longer than me. Hamza has a lot more of an audience than me. But I know the process that you do to make YouTube content, and you do not need $7,000 every 3 months to do it. That is the biggest, just no. If he thinks that, he's doing one of two things. Again, it's going to come down to this again and again. He's either lying and knowing full well that that's not what you need to make content on YouTube, or two, he's just terrible with money and doesn't know how to spend properly and how to budget. Yeah? Okay, so let's go through these one by one and explain this. He says he needs part of the $7,000 in the 3 month time period to cover editors. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, here's how you edit, and this is coming from someone who does it for fun for the last 2 years. Step 1, you download a free program that costs you no money. I use DaVinci Resolve. You can Google it and you can download it. 2, spend some time watching some tutorials on YouTube, which again is free, to teach you how to do the basics of editing. And given what me and Hamza do, we don't do any particular amazing things. We're not movie makers, we just make content on YouTube, so it's pretty basic stuff. All that's free. 3, you go and record whatever you want, which can either be your live streams like Hamza has, or it could be recording at Speaker's Corner like he does. And this requires, in all honesty, mobile phones. A lot of my content, particularly early on, I recorded with a mobile phone because it's the cheapest and easiest way to do. Now he might say, well, I want to use all this professional stuff, I want to do things professionally. Sure, does not take $7,000 every 3 months. It still doesn't even get you anywhere near that number. And Hamza, I'm guessing, is going to say, look, I hire people to make and edit these videos for me. Right, stop doing that then. Like, I'm just being honest with you. If you have to ask people for $7,000 every 3 months to make that work, you're doing something wrong. Even if it's just $2,000 every 3 months, why does that look viable to you? If the only way you can continue making that kind of content is you have to repeatedly beg for money to do it, it's not viable, Hamza. I mean, the thing is you own a business, so you should already know how to manage money. The fact that you don't do that is very concerning to me. As someone who doesn't even plan to give you money, who has never given you money and doesn't and never will, the fact that there are Muslims out there that have bought into your tall tales that you need this kind of revenue income because you can't get it yourself despite the fact you work. You have another source of income, which is the Patreon account. So let's just jump to this. This is just going to confuse you even more as to how this makes sense. But remember, he's saying editing is going to take so much money. It doesn't. You can do it for free. It just takes your time. If you want to hire professionals and you can't afford it, stop hiring them. You can't afford it. Don't pay money you don't have. Is an expert. Transcribers. Okay, I don't understand what this is to transcribe things. I mean, YouTube automatically transcribes your videos anyway, but okay. Translators, again, you know, you have AI now. You can just use AI to I mean, it looks like he's just using buzzwords to try to get people to think, ooh, this $7,000's going a long way. It really isn't. And then he just ends with, and of course, equipment for the next 3 months. What equipment are you buying, Hamza, that requires $7,000 in a 3-month period? That makes no sense. No sense whatsoever. Hamza, I own my own equipment and I paid for it with my own money. I know how much these things cost. And yes, they cost a lot of money. But there's no weird, like, you need $7,000 in 3 months to do it. No. You take your time and you get there slowly. And you'll get there. You don't have to beg, borrow, or steal to do it. That's from one creator to another. Anyway, this is just excluding the fact that he has a Patreon account which gives a substantial amount of monthly income as a form of passive income every month. Let's take a look at that. So here's his Patreon account. Okay, great. So we can see here he has 421 members. Cool. Now, a lot of those are for free because you can join for free on his account. So what we can do is in the About section, it'll tell us the total members and it will tell us those of which are paid members, which is 113. Oh, okay. All right, I just refreshed the page. It's gone down by 1. Well done to whoever that was. But here's where things get interesting. If we look at the membership options that Hamza offers on his Patreon, he gives the supporter for £3 a month, but he also gives this one, which is £10 a month, but he also limits this to just 500. And it tells us at the bottom, there's 456 remaining. That means that 44 people are currently paying £10 a month to Hamza. That amounts to £440 a month of passive income. But wait, we haven't factored in the remaining paid members who are just paying the £3. And given that there seems to be only 2 choices, anyone who's not paying the £10 must be paying the £3. So that would be his total paid members, which is 112 currently, minus the 44 who are paying for the £10 one. Let me do some maths. 112 minus 44 is 68. 68 times 3 is £204. 440 plus £204 is £644 a month passive income. Now, I don't think that's necessarily bad. I think it's perfectly fine for people who want to support, to go support and to help. Absolutely fine with that. My issue is that for some reason, Hamza thinks that that's not enough support and asks people periodically for thousands more to do things that, in all honesty, are completely free. That to me raises red flags. If anyone ever asks you for things that you know full well they could be doing for free, they're just supposedly choosing not to, it's probably because they're taking the money, which goes into his personal account, and he's probably spending it in a way that he's not accountable for and he isn't documenting. Now, I would actually, even at this point, probably think, hey, you know what, this is his right, he can do this. He's not really doing anything wrong. I mean, he's made lots of bad decisions, but that's okay. We all make bad decisions at times. Let's give him the benefit of the doubt. I might be in that position one day where I need financial help. Maybe I'll have to do something like that. Who knows? But then I watched his response to this, and I also watched some other Muslim channels' responses to this, and then it dawned on me just how bad the situation is. Let's watch this video that Hamza made in response to all the negative feedback he's been getting online, on his Twitter profile, on his YouTube comments, on his YouTube videos. He's getting tons of pushback from Muslims who are saying, look, you're just taking advantage of people. Let's watch his response. I'm sure it will explain everything. Let's watch.
What point is it acceptable for those in doubt to ask for 50,000 without explaining how the personal debt came about? How does anyone get into 50,000 personal debt while being a businessman? Is this the new rule, that da'is don't have to explain themselves but can demand money at the drop of a hat from naive Muslims because they are dour celebs. Hamza, go get a real job, like most people, and stop scamming your fans. Is that the real Muslim Brooklyn? Really? Jump on. There's the link. Explain it. Explain the scam.
Straight away, you can see during a live stream, Muslims are angry at Hamza, asking for this kind of money, not giving any kind of detailed explanation as to what the money goes to. You would have thought he could just make a quick spreadsheet to say, here's where everything goes to, here's my debts, here's how I plan on using the 25,000 to pay the 50,000 eventually, here's how I plan to do that. But no, he doesn't care. He just doesn't care. Like, he couldn't care less. He just wants your money, Muslims.
And this is why I'm saying I've got 50 grand debt, but 25, inshallah, will get me out of the 50. Do you get me? That's why I'm not trying to raise 50. I don't want it all. I want to work it out. Do you get me?
Do you hear what he just said there? He's got the 50 grand debt. He's hoping that the 25 will be enough to help him clear off the 50. And you can actually see, even in this video, the target is 25,000. And this is partly what upset a lot of people, is that when he managed to hit that 25,000, he just increased the target to 35,000. And then when he hit the 35,000, he just increased it to 50,000. So instead of, hey, I'll take some accountability, I'll go halfway, you guys can cover me halfway. No. Just give me all the money, please. Just give me 50 grand. Like, I've been running away from debt for 10 years because my business is supposedly not making enough money to cover its own basic costs on a day-to-day basis, which you would have thought would mean, Hamza, stop the business then. If you have a business that doesn't make money, it loses money, over 10 years, stop. I can't believe I'm having to explain this to you, but stop the business then. If it doesn't make money, why are you running it? It baffles me how someone who can run a business, who owns a business, and it's an actual shop, doesn't understand that if over a 10-year period you're not able to make money and you're constantly losing money, you're hemorrhaging money supposedly, and you're robbing Peter to pay Paul, it's a sign that you need to close down your business. What businessman does business to lose money over 10 years? I mean, I get maybe 1 year, 2 year, you're testing things out, but 10 years, my body's boiling just because the amount of, sorry, but that is just stupid. Like, who would do this? Like, if I had friends or family that were doing this, I would scream at them, sell the business. Sell it. Like, get rid of it. You're losing money. You can make money through selling it. Oh. But anyway, also, just a little side note. Whenever someone explains something like this to me and they feel the need to end the sentence with, you get me?
I don't want it all. I want to work it out. Do you get me?
That basically just means, are you buying this? I'm just saying, like, it's the sketchiest thing ever, right? Yeah, I need 25 grand, really love it if you guys could help me. I'll use the 25 grand to make it into 50 grand. That'll cover everything for the last 10 years because, things have just been difficult. I don't know why I'm still running my business into debt, but hey, ignore that. You get me? No, bro, we don't get you. I don't want it all. I want to work it out. You get me? Anyway, I'm now asking for 50 grand.
But I want it to, so by doing it this way, I don't need to do it again. And I alleviate the debt once and for all. Do you get me?
You already just said that. If he does this and he gets this cleared off, he doesn't need to do it again. It is done once and for all. Why are we supposed to believe that if you don't even know how to run a business? Why are we supposed to believe that if you've been unable to be honest and transparent about your debt for 10 years, apparently? Why are we supposed to believe that if throughout that 10-year period, you've been having other GoFundMes to raise other money for other things and never once thought you should do it for your own debt? I find that incredibly dishonest at the absolute minimum.
Yeah, of course Muslims accused me. Oh, there was some terrible videos made about me. Terrible videos. Especially that Uncle Omar from Speaker's Corner. The irony is this, that Uncle Omar knew of my situation and about 10 years ago offered to lend me 20 grand and said, if I die, I forgive you. This is the same guy who knew the problems I was in. Do you get me?
Okay, so according to Hamza, he's saying that Uncle Omar, who is, I'm just going to be honest with you, he has made racial statements. How do I put this delicately? He's made racial statements in the past towards black people. I even did a short showing what he was saying. The guy is, to be honest with you, the fact that there are people that still cover Uncle Omar is amazing. But anyway, Uncle Omar, though, offered to give Hamza 20 grand 10 years ago. This is the same Uncle Omar who now does not like you at all and calls you all the names under the sun. That to me is very telling, because what you've just said is there was someone who respected you enough to help you, who no longer desires to help you. That tells me a lot. If you have friends who would, I mean, let's be completely honest, I wouldn't give 10 grand to a lot of people, just to be honest with you. That's a lot of money, and that would seriously hurt me if I gave that money away to someone and they didn't pay it back. So the fact that Uncle Omar was willing to do that for you, and he even says, if you die before you pay me back, I'll forgive you, that means a lot. But now he wouldn't give you the time of day. Why is that? Why is that, Hamza? I think it's because Uncle Omar may have figured something out about you, and that's why he's changed his opinion.
Alhamdulillah. And this is a means. Well, you know, if I was going to ask for 50 to clear my debt, that means I'm not prepared to work. But I know I can pay off the wholesalers, and I can work things around, and I can...
Sorry, did you just say, Hamza, that if you were asking for 50, that would mean that you're not prepared to work? Hamza, as from a few hours ago, you're now asking for 50. So you've just admitted, because you made this video when you were still asking for 25, before you increased it to 35 for reasons unknown, and then a few hours ago you increased it from 35 to 50, so you actually are asking for the whole money now, which according to you in this video means you're admitting that you don't want to work. Well, at least you're honest, Hamza. At least you're honest. Well, you know, honest at doing something very bad, but at least you're honest.
Inshallah, I'm confident by the end of the year, half of it is business debt. It's not all business debt, but majority is, I'd say 3/4 of it is business debt. But that's business debt incurred paying off personal debts from the past. So it's like robbing Peter to pay Paul each time. Do you get me? So this time, now this is the irony, and this could be really bad. And people are going to look at me and think, Hamza, is this what the money was for?
Oh, great. I can't wait to hear this. Yeah, he's really going to do it. He's really going to explain to you what he's about to spend money on, given that he's in 50 grand debt. Let's see. I'm sure it's totally reasonable stuff, right? This is going to be bare essentials. The guy's in 50 grand debt. I bet he eats like tinned beans and hasn't had the heating on for years, right? But let's see what he's going to spend some money on.
Because I'm going to be in Turkey, Bahrain, Qatar, Kuwait, potentially Riyadh in 2 weeks' time. I'm going to be doing one of my round the Gulf in 7 days, if you like. I'm going to go to Turkey because now I've got money to go and give to my wholesaler there, so I can order scarves for Ramadan. Then I'm going to go to Bahrain to meet Ben and drop off some money that I owe him. Then I'm going to go from Bahrain to Qatar just to connect to my sheikhs and just to refresh my residence permit. From there, I'm going to jump to Kuwait to order my scarves again for Ramadan. And from there, I'm going to jump to Riyadh, inshallah, to meet the brother there who's maybe got someone to help sort out the merchandise for Hamza's den. Alhamdulillah. So this is my so people go, oh look, he's going holidaying again. Nah, it's all connected. It's all part and parcel of me preparing for my for Ramadan.
You what? Are you for real? Are you actually, do you think people are that dumb? Okay. Oh my days. My days. This is where the penny drops for me. This is where I say no more like, oh, maybe it's this, maybe it's just hard times. No. You are openly, you're just announcing to the world that you've got thousands of pounds that you've managed to get from Muslims who want to help you out of debt, and you're going on a 7-day travel the Gulf expense, and you think no one's going to call you out on that. I don't know what to say. I'm genuinely baffled at how this makes any sense. Hamza, the excuses and the fact that you try and say this is for business reasons is laughable. You need to meet suppliers so you can pay them. Hamza, let me introduce you to something, and it's a miracle of the 21st century, alhamdulillah. You can actually use a bank account. You can even get a halal bank account, so no interest on it, it's all good, and you can then wire the money over to your suppliers in Turkey, Istanbul, Qatar, Bahrain, wherever it might be. You can just wire them the money there, Hamza. In fact, given you've been doing this for at least 10 years apparently, you would have thought you already have relationships with these suppliers, so you don't need to meet them. You don't need to meet them, Hamza. They know you. You can literally just say, hey, let me wire you another payment, like they do in the 21st century. The idea he's trying to convince people he needs to see them face to face, so he needs to get on I don't know if he travels first class or whatever. There've been accusations he does, but the idea that you travel to wherever, you have to get a hotel, get travel, get food, get all the stuff you need to then go and have a conversation with someone. is dumb. And I'm sorry, that's not believable. I don't believe that for a second. That's not how business works. That's not how normal relations with people work, let alone in business. He says he needs to go see Ben and give him some money. Hey, same thing, Hamza. You can just get your phone like this, and you can just wire him, tap, 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 the money to his account, and you don't have to travel to wherever he is in the world. It's amazing. It's called the internet, Hamza. You use it on a daily basis, but for some reason you expect Muslims to not understand that and think that you actually have to go to these places. I mean, you even drop the ball when you talk about Qatar, where you say that you go there simply to refresh your permit, your residence permit, which you have to do every 6 months because... Are there reasons for that? As far as I can tell, it's just because you like going there. So what you've done is you've now, while being in 50 grand debt, you're now committing to an expense, because that's what this is an expense, to go to Qatar every 6 months. So you have to now fly there, get a hotel there, or however you do that, every 6 months. You're now committed to that because you want a residence permit. Are you for real? This is the most obvious. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, especially if you're a Muslim watching this, I don't understand how you can let this guy get away with that. I mean, if I had a Christian brother who was doing this, saying, oh, by the way, I need 50 grand. By the way, after I get 50 grand, a few weeks time, I'm going to go all the way out to Qatar, go all the way around the Gulf, using the money to pay for the flights, the hotels. It's totally not a holiday, by the way. Not a holiday. It's for business reasons. Yeah, business reasons. Yeah, no, I'd go absolutely mental at the guy. I'd say that you're openly just taking advantage of people. And I think that's what you're doing, Hamza. You're taking advantage of people. And you know what, actually, there's another way of looking at this. Maybe you actually do think business is meant to be done this way. You're meant to, like, keep having face-to-face meetings, like, by traveling halfway across the world every few months or something. Apparently, this is just what you think is normal. And that would explain why your business hasn't been making money in the last 10 years. I mean, it would, wouldn't it? In which case, sell your business. You shouldn't be running it. You don't know what you're doing.
Forest Dweller, he wanted to move to Qatar too and makes a GoFundMe multiple times. He should have used the last GoFundMe, the 6K one, to try and get out of debt. Yeah, 6K is going to get you out of 50K, isn't it? Don't worry about it. Nitro Z.
What, again, really winds me up because it's just so obvious how little he cares about what he's doing and the fact that he's taking money from people who, in all honesty, shouldn't be giving this man money. I mean, do you want to give a random guy on the internet money so he can go to different countries around the world and stay in hotels? Like, do you want to do that? I mean, that's not helping the dawah. It's not helping anything. It's just you're paying for Hamza to have a nice holiday. But look at that comment. Even Muslims are realizing, hang on a second, if you've had this debt for a long time, why didn't you use the money we gave you before to go towards that debt? And his response is to laugh and to say, oh, you really think 6 grand is going to get me out of 50 grand debt? No, Hamza. It will knock 6 grand off the total amount of debt you owe, so you don't have to ask for 50 grand. But you apparently didn't care. Because you knew that eventually you would just ask people to give 50,000 and you would just work up to it by asking for 25, then 35, then 50. So you will never need to be accountable for your poor financial decisions. That's what it is. That's what it is, Hamza.
I always say as well, you don't have to support me. It's your business. You know?
You don't have to support me. It's your business. Red flag again. It's the same kind of thing people say when they know they're doing something unethical, but they justify it by saying, well, people don't have to buy into it. Well, yeah, but you're encouraging them to, even though you know it's not ethical.
This enables me to get the first plan in action. Like I said, I was only going to try to aim for 20 because I felt shy. It was Bro Haji who said you should ask for 30.
That's really interesting he brought that up. He says he was only going to aim for 20, but Brother Hajj, I think that's how you pronounce his name, asked him to go a bit further and ask for 25,000. And we can actually see proof of this. Let's take a look at his Facebook page. Here's Brother Hajj's Facebook profile, where back in 12th of February, which seems to be the same time roughly that he asked for the initial amount, he gives his support. Let's read what he says. He says, please support our brother Hamza's Den, to get him out of debt. I spoke to Hamza recently and empathized. As believers, we should support our brothers who are in debt, and will remove my post as I am now aware of our brother's plight. So this guy supported Hamza and apparently even encouraged him to increase the amount he was asking for from 20,000 to 25,000. Okay, great. What does that same guy now say about Hamza? Since he increased it again from 25 to 35, and presumably he's now even more annoyed with him now that he's increased it from 35 to 50 and he's, in his words, doing no work. So let's have a look. So this is on 9th of March, so about a week ago. Initially, his campaign aimed to raise £25,000, half of the 50,000 goal. Deemed sufficient, however, after reaching this target, the goal was then raised to 35,000 without clear justification. And then 17 hours ago, Brother Hajj made another post where he says, charities, how do you feel to make margins and profit in the name of charity, zakat? Do you really think you have this figured out? Your fake religiosity and marketing strategy only show me how religion is consistently abused and exploited, especially during this blessed month. This is when you cash in, right? It's time to face the music and admit that you are running this like a business. Gaza, Syria, Yemen, these are your products, which you use to generate margins and profits. The costs you promote, in essence, allow you to make good margins, so no one questions you until now. I wonder what this is in relation to. I also like this top comment here. Since COVID, Hamza has tried to go solo. He even stopped Dawa guys recording him at Speaker's Corner. I can confirm that's true. Seems like he wanted to set up his own crowd and avoid, if possible, Dawa activities. Only when his popularity was affected, he's somewhat back on the scene. He just wants to chill at the expense of the people. Number one, he hardly works at his shop, which again, I'm going to say is completely true because he seems to be more concerned with live streaming at his shop than actually doing work. Two, look at what he has done when Qatar World Cup was on. That's another controversy of him having money and not making it very transparent what he was spending it on. Raised money for loans, that's a red flag. Told Ben to leave his job and edit for him instead. Paid by more donations, which basically means it isn't sustainable because if you have to keep doing GoFundMes to give Ben money, then you can't really keep Ben on forever, can you? Has taken money off of many people online, yep. Are his recent online interactions staged? The Dawa team should clarify and speak out of what has been going on with Mayat, which is Daniel, which is Hamza. The blatant answer is simple. Hamza, stop spending so much money on things you don't need to spend on, because that's how you probably got into 50 grand's worth of debt to begin with. Some Muslim in his live stream, when he goes through this controversy and tries to justify his spending, actually suggests this to him. Let's see how Hamza responds.
You might have time for a part-time job or any extra work to make more income, cut costs and maximize possible income, cut out all traveling unless absolutely necessary. Shush, please, shush. Oh, dear.
Yep. He just laughs at him. Just laughs. He thinks it's funny. He thinks it's funny when people try and give him actual advice on how to better manage his finances so he can avoid being in debt. He's going to take Muslims' money and he's going to spend it how he wants without any transparency. He won't detail the expenses. He won't list them. He won't show you the money in his bank account and where it's gone. He will never do this. And he'll probably come up with some weird excuse like, I spent it all in cash or something like that. Which of course is very weird if you've got like 25 grand or in this case close to 50 grand. Don't think that makes sense. And finally, the only thing significant in this video that I noticed was that he actually gives an explanation as to what some of the money is needed for, finally, in the live stream. This should be interesting. Let's see what some of this money is actually going to go to, according to Hamza.
So, for example, part of my debt is an £11,000 electricity bill, for example. Now, I'm not going to use £11,000 to pay the electricity bill, but what I will do is take £1,100 of it, pay 10% of the electricity bill, and make an arrangement to pay £1,000 a month, which will be funded by what my business does.
Well, at least he didn't end that with, you get me. But think about what he just said here. £11,000 is because of outstanding utility bill, electricity. Now, if I had raised that amount of money in electricity bill and I couldn't pay it off, and I was asking for money to pay it off, I would ask for the full amount and I would explicitly say, it's going for this. This is it. Here is the bill. I can show you a receipt of the bill. Here's the money I've raised. It has gone to this bill. I can show you the transaction. That way, there's complete transparency, and it wouldn't take much effort to do that. But for some reason, he has this master plan where rather than actually just paying the debt off with the 50,000 he's now raised, no, he's not going to do that. He's going to pay 10% of the 11 grand, so 1,100-ish, as a down payment. So he does the bare minimum to keep the electric on. He's then going to set up, and this is where he accidentally dobs himself in, he doesn't realize it. He then says, then I'll just pay off like 1,000 a month to eventually clear the debt. That way, and he's going to do that through his business, that way he's being smarter with the money that you're donating to him. But there's one problem with that, Hamza. If you could set up a £1,000 payment every month that you could supposedly support with the money your business makes, you would have already done this. You would have already set up a 1,000 a month payback bill to slowly clear off that 11,000 utility bill. You don't need to get that 50 grand because, again, according to you, it's going to come out of the money your business makes. So you could have already done this. But you haven't done this, Hamza. Which leads me to think you're either doing one of two things, and this is the whole point of this video. You're either intentionally grifting, or you're just really bad with money and you should stop. Because you're gonna do, I mean, I've heard you used to gamble and stuff. I'm assuming you don't do that now. I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt. I'm thinking that you just don't know how to spend your money. I think you just don't know how to manage it. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to show you Brother Hajj's video because he made a video response to Hamza and he's quite lethal in it. And I think he has every right to be. So let's watch this video from Brother Hajj.
So from £25,000, he raised it to £50,000. So people naturally were a bit circumspect, naturally so. So as you can see, brother mentions, he's saying raising half of 50,000, meaning 25 is more than enough. Target has been hit, but instead of closing, it's been raised to 35,000k. No clear reasoning given as to how he's got himself in such debt in the first place. And now he's in Qatar and Dubai live streaming. Comments are right to question. Okay. And then other brothers as well have mentioned, obviously, certain things. You have to be transparent to the audience. You said you only needed half of the 50k, now you've increased to 35. Brother Hamza, there are people in a lot less fortunate position than yourself. Work hard and Allah will provide. I thought you'd already hit your goal of 25,000. You regret this, how pathetic. Now come back to me. Now unfortunately, the brothers in London who are in the da'wah haven't got the bottle to raise it. Unfortunately, let's just call it out as it is. It's your duty to raise this. It's your duty to bring this matter to the public because the ummah's money is being spent and it is our right to ask for evidence that those claims that he mentioned at the start, 25,000, and he said it to me personally, by the way. He said this to me personally. I don't want to go issue out the private WhatsApp messages and the voice notes and the conversations I had, but he mentioned this to me privately, and you did, Hamza. You said, all I need is £25,000 so that I can make 50,000 to clear my debts, but all of a sudden it's gone up by 10,000. And now you're in Dubai and you're in Qatar. To add, I asked Hamza for documentation to evidence that he has cleared his debt, he has bought stock, or whatever it may be. Unfortunately, he said he was unable to do so because he paid cash. There's no evidence at all. So this is a matter of serious concern.
Imagine asking for large sums of money, and then when a person who supports you, who is in the same line of work, so to speak, in the dawah, supports you, encourages you, and says, look, you've got to be transparent about it though, because this is a lot of money, so you've got to make sure that you document what you're doing with it so everyone in the ummah, in the community knows. That's completely fair and reasonable. When he does this, and the guy asks him to explain what he's spending this money on, or what he has spent some of this money on, he responds with, I can't tell you that, because I paid in cash. Ladies and gentlemen, there is a term that describes what Hamza's doing here. It rhymes with von Tartist. I just cannot believe that someone would actually be that obviously and that blatantly taking advantage of people in a way that, like, it's almost laughable, really, if it wasn't so sad that people are actually being separated from their money to help a guy who's just living his life, you know, going to Qatar, chilling, having nice holidays. Yeah, I don't know who this brother Hajj is, but I found his video and I found it interesting and it kind of made me look into this a bit more. But it definitely seems to me as if Hamza is up to no good here. I'd love to know what your guys' opinion is on this. I've tried to give Hamza the benefit of the doubt. I think I could have, up until the bit where I realised what he was actually spending the money on, and the fact he can't give proof of where this is going. I think that's a nail on the head for me. But otherwise, thank you everyone for watching. I hope you all have a great day. God bless you all. If you're not a Christian yet, then today is the day. You can email me at Chris@Speakers Corner. My email is in the box down below. If you have any questions on the faith, I'll do my best to answer you. And other than that, I wish you all a blessed day. God bless you all and take care.